Party elections, it's a three-horse race between the ruling Frelimo, the former rebel group Renamo, and the new kid on the block, the Mozambique Democratic Movement. 10 million voters have registered to vote, representing about 90% of the eligible voting population. The election promises to be a tough test for Frelimo, which has ruled the resource-rich country since independence in 1975. Analysts say that while Frelimo is expected to win the election, the opposition is likely to make significant inroads, reducing the ruling party's overwhelming majority of 75% garnered in the last vote. Let's cross live to Mweli Masilela in Maputo, where outgoing President Armando Guebuza is expected to be among the very first to cast his vote. Mweli, good morning to you. What's it like there ahead of the elections?
A very good morning to you. Actually, President Armando Guebuza has just voted here at this, one of the biggest polling stations in Maputo. He came into the voting station together with his wife. But then it's interesting because just a kilometer away from here, this is where President of the opposition party, Renamo, Afonso is going to vote. But then also at the very same voting center, we are also starting to see people coming in, and that shows that the queues outside shows that many people of Mozambique are eager to vote. And the fact that comparing to the previous elections, you can see that the number of people who have registered to vote has increased by 1 million people.
So far, from the reports that you've been hearing, has it been incident-free?
Yes, we spoke to the National Elections Commission of Mozambique. They say that it's only isolated incidents of violence, and those incidents happened just before the campaign trail was wrapped. But then they've said that they've made sure that police are on high alert to make sure that there is violence. But then we must also say that election observer missions have made sure that they meet those people who are contesting for the position of presidency, just to engage them about the issue of making sure that there is peace in Mozambique, considering the fact that most of the people we spoke to here say they don't want a situation whereby Mozambique can go back to a civil war.
Yeah, indeed, and I'm sure people are very watching that exceptionally closely. What time are polling stations expected to close? Everything expected to be wrapped up today?
Well, as polling stations opened at 7 a.m. here, we are expecting, they've told us that they will be closing at 6 p.m. But then the Elections Commission has mentioned that there are some areas in Mozambique that are not accessible. So those are the challenges that they will be facing. But looking into the weather, because they're concerned that if it rains, some areas won't be accessible, looking at the landscape of Mozambique.
All right. Well, I'm sure you'll be watching that exceptionally closely. And also, South Africa, any involvement from South Africa's point of view, perhaps from the IEC or anything else overlooking as foreign observers into this election?
Well, South Africa, as you know, that South Africa is one of the biggest economic and political partners with Mozambique. So we've seen that before the elections, election day, there have been quite a number of South African officials visiting the country, and the Minister of International Relations was also here just before the elections to make sure that as they are sitting in one of the organs that are responsible for maintaining peace and security in Africa, they also make sure they make a contribution. But then South Africa and Mozambique enjoy long-standing economic relations. So it is also important that South Africa chips in and make sure that they play their role. So to make sure that those relations are strengthened.
All right. Thank you very much for talking to us on the program. That's our reporter covering the elections in Mozambique, Mweli Masilela. We'll cross to him again.